I want to bring to your attention that on the assignment sheet on the second page, there's information here about adding audio using GarageBand. And in case you forget after you're done composing your sounds in GarageBand to make your audio file, your AIFF file, you can go share, export song to disk, and it's important to note that audio, it's media, it doesn't exist inside of your After Effects project. It's merely linking to where it exists on the hard drive outside of your After Effects project. So be sure to keep track of where you save your audio file. That's why I suggested making a folder called Shape Media, where you keep the audio file and any other media if you're going to use any other media with this project. So finishing and showing your work. This we'll talk about a little bit later because I'm going to get you more acclimated with the workspace so you can create a custom workspace. So we'll talk about that later. Rendering. I want to talk about rendering your movie file. And Shelly will show you how to turn it into the Dropbox. So for rendering their instructions here, I'm going to go over how to do that right now. Okay, so you have the timeline open that and active that you're going to be rendering. In this case, I only have one composition in my project, so that's what's on the timeline and what's displaying in the composition panel. So that's what I want to render. There's a workspace or work area. Make sure that you extend your work area to the full length of the project that you want to render into a finalized video file that's self-contained, that can be uploaded to YouTube and played on any computer that has QuickTime or Windows Media Player, whatever plays video on computers, an application that plays video. Okay, so also on your assignment checklist that you guys should have, you also have a reminder of how to render on the assignment checklist. Let's see, where do I have the assignment checklist? I guess I don't have it here right now. Okay, anyway, let's go ahead and render. So to render, you're going to go up to composition, and then you're going to go add to render queue. And the render queue means align, because you can actually line up a whole bunch of items to render, and they will render one after another. But right now I'm just rendering this one item. So you have these three settings, and I'm going to ask you just to focus on the blue text links. So for render settings, you don't have to worry about going into render settings or using the drop down or anything. Just focus on the blue text link. So if you click on the blue text link, best settings, next to render settings, that'll give you this dialog box that you can look over and just make sure that everything looks good. So quality should be best, resolution should be full. The time span is saying work area only, or you could do length of composition. It's telling you the frame rate, it's telling you the start and the end time code and the duration of the piece of the work. So all that looks good. So I could click OK, or I could click cancel because I didn't make any changes. Next, next to output module, let's click on lossless. Okay, so here we're just checking. Okay, the format's QuickTime. There are different formats you could choose from. I'm gonna leave it on QuickTime. It's outputting video using RGB channels, and um, if I wanted the background to render as transparent, then I could choose RGB plus alpha and make the color be unmatted. But I don't want to do that. I just want RGB, and I want to have the background color actually be color rather than transparency. So that's why I'm using these settings. And then the format options, you're going to want to click that because we want to change for turning in our work. We want the file to be smaller and compressed. Right now it's set to animation, so that's the uncompressed video. That's the highest quality, but it's a huge file size, which is unnecessary when there is a type of codec here in the list that will make the file half the size but still have good quality. So that would be H.264. So I recommend you choose H.264. And it's still good quality, so you just choose your video codec, which compresses the file while retaining the quality. At H.264 is a good choice. So say OK there. So now I have chose H.264 for my format options. And then I'm going to leave resize and crop alone, and just make sure your audio is set audio output to auto. So if there's audio there, it's going to include it. If not, it's not. That looks good. And then I'm just going to click OK. So the only change we made here in output module, because now it says custom because we made changes. The only change we really made was we went to format options and we chose on video codec H.264. That's it pretty much. Okay, and then finally output 2, very important. Click on that blue text link and give your animation a name. Last name, first initial, dash shape, or dash shape animation works. And then save that. It's not the shape media, it's its own file. So save that to your documents area where you're gonna remember where you saved it. And then I'm gonna click save. And nothing's happening yet until you click on the render button. And then it's like all those ingredients you put together in your After Effects project are gonna finally bake in the oven, and you're gonna make that cake that's gonna be ready to upload to YouTube. Here it goes. So it's building the video frame by frame, piecing it all together. All of your editing decisions are coming together, or all of your animation decisions. Okay, when you hear that sound, that means it's ready. So then I'm gonna go find it. Projects, and it should be this one right here. So I can double click on it and it will open in QuickTime, and I can full screen it and I can play it. Okay, so that's my shape animation. I can press escape to get out of that. And then I wanted to talk about, well, actually, let me go back to the, let's see, my After Effects folder here. Because I have the checklist that you guys should all have. I just wanted to point out, let's see, student assignment list. Is it this one? Yeah, this one. Okay, so you guys should have this assignment list. So I just wanted to point out that the reminder here on how to render is also on your assignment checklist. You remember, it's very simple to get there. You just go up to composition, add to render queue, and then how you would name your your projects that you render. Just name them your last name followed by your first initial dash the name of what the assignment is, like shape animation. Okay. I wanted to show also how you can render a video without sound, a version without sound. I'm going to delete this item from the render queue and go back to my timeline and render this without sound to put into GarageBand if you wanted to do that. So I'm going to make one without sound. So I'm going to go composition, add to render queue, and I'll leave best settings alone. I'll go to lossless and I'll go to format and choose H.264. Okay, there. And then this time I'm going to turn off the audio. So I'm going to go audio. The audio is going off. And then I'll say okay there. And then I'll click on output 2 and make this one no sound. And save and then render. And I'm making this video, this version, for the purpose of dragging it into GarageBand and then editing the sound to the visuals. If you prefer to work that way, it's a great way to work, because then you can be more specific about the sounds that you come up with and edit them to the visuals. So then now I have this file. I'm going to go to Finder and find it. So I put that in my projects, I believe, without the no sound video. And then in GarageBand, I believe all I have to do is drag the video into GarageBand, and then it comes as a movie track, and I can kind of move this wherever and play forward and watch it. And then, for example, the stars came in right about here, so maybe I actually want this sound to come in earlier when the stars come in. But again, I want to line up to a beat. So, but we'll just see how it looks now with the... There, so that kind of works better. So I could redo the sound and work with the visuals a little bit more. All right.